I am very excited because I had an opportunity to meet Irene Rush back in December, I believe. Irene has been working with our clinical nursing students, but is also a certified spiritual director. And we had just launched a program inviting people, if they thought they were interested in spiritual direction, to come and meet with Irene, and then the school closed. But she contacted me and said, that she would be willing to share a little bit about what spiritual direction is for anybody who might be interested or just wanted to hear what it was. And so therefore, I am very happy to turn this morning's coffee talk over to Irene Rush. Good morning, Irene.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for stopping in. I think I'm just going to read a little bit about a short thing about spiritual direction, and then open it to questions, because I think that would be what you would probably find most beneficial. But as you see me on the screen, don't let the term spiritual direction conjure up something very medieval. The only way I'm medieval is because I'm getting medieval. And because a lot of people, I think, get turned off by that kind of a term. They think of it as monks and abbesses, and as it was in one time, it's become more open in the church today, and more people are involved in it. And more non-religious people, regular lay people, have been trained to do it. I know many who have gone through the training like myself. It involves working with consider a spiritual director a guide to listen to you where God might be leading you in your prayer life. And that's what really it is about. The real director of a spiritual director session is God, or the Holy Spirit especially. And the director listens to what you say, and something will hit the director where you get a little nudge inside which says, ask them about that a little bit more. Why do they feel that way? And then the prayer evolves. It can be, now your prayer experiences can be inside, outside. They don't necessarily have to be in a church. They may be when you're going away on retreat. There may be when you're taking your dog out for a walk. God, it meets all of us in our own capacity. Wherever we need to meet God, that is where God will meet us. God bless you. Somebody sneezed.
And Irene, can I just ask, because I know that, we can all come from different faith traditions. Spiritual direction is not just Christian faith, spiritual direction. It's for all faiths, correct?
Right. It's open to all faiths, and it's your relationship with your God or your higher power. Now, of course, if you're from a Christian background, maybe you want to talk about the relationship with Jesus. I was trained in Ignatian spirituality, which very much moves you into the spiritual directions and developing this relationship with Jesus, with God as Jesus. But it can be in any of the person or forms of God that we may feel comfortable with. The true goal of spiritual direction is to help you feel the unconditional love of God and God's deep desire to lead us to freedom. It's not about restrictions or telling you to do this or to do that, but to finding how God speaks to you through your conscience and what you have to do. And it's different for everybody. I've directed all manner of people, and it's different from they feel their relationship with God is so different from this happens to a lot of people, is their usual forms of prayer are neither satisfied or fulfilling. I do hear a lot of people talk, and they don't feel fulfilled by going to liturgies or to church services. But believe it or not, I sometimes think with all the young people who go to yoga, there must be something going on there, a relationship with God that's somehow connecting into them. So you come and you talk about something. We feel we're missing something, and we want to know God better, but we're often not able to put this longing into words. And please know this. This is very, very, to articulate religious experience is difficult for many people. suppose you have this religious experience, you're walking around somewhere, or it's in church, and you say, gee, is what's happening to me? Now, you might not feel comfortable talking that to friends or co-workers or even family members, but I am telling you, almost everyone I know or speak to about these religions has them. And it's a way of legitimizing and confirming that, yes, this is from God, or how to discern whether an experience is of God, or sometimes an experience is not of God. It's something trying to lead us down the wrong way. And that's what we really do. We share our journey with another person to help us hear and understand more clearly what we're seeking. And we're able to hear ourselves too. It enables us to look at things differently and gain insight into our everyday experiences in light of God's unconditional love. Each of us is called to a closer, more intimate relationship with God. Articulating our religious experience with the spiritual director will increase our self-awareness, deepen our spirituality, and to help us to find God in all things. I'm very attracted to the Ignatian spirituality because that was Saint Ignatius's first. One of his first caveats is you find God in all things. You can find God wherever you may be. What it usually involves is people who come to see me for spiritual direction. They come every couple of weeks for 45 minutes to an hour, and they talk about their prayer time, what's happening in their life. Now, it's not therapy. Sometimes, people are going to come in with big big issues. We're trained as directors to know what we can handle. And the last thing you're going to do if someone's coming in who's very depressed or down and needs therapy, you're going to guide them to someone who can do that to them, because there are some instances where God gives us people in our life to help us. We can't pray away the problems. We have to have professional kind of help with that. And but suppose you come in and you've had a diagnosis of some bad disease, or you have facing an impending surgery. The spiritual director will ask you, well, where do you think God might be leading you with this in your life? Where do you think, what is God trying to tell you with this experience? And give you time to think about it and more. I know in the last 2 years, I had to have a knee replaced and some back surgery. And it was a result of talking with with my directors or colleagues that, I share spirituality with, that I knew that I was being prayed for by a community of people. And I went into both of those surgeries really very much at peace. It wasn't a piece of cake recovering from it, but it gave me the patience to trust that I would be okay. And that's really what I think we want to aim for in life, because as we grow older, life is a surrendering of various things. We have to surrender loved ones, our health, our occupations, and that is the true goal of the different parts of life, and to surrender to God, but in the surrender to find peace, that you are going to be taken care of. And I have found this in my own life. I mean, I didn't come out of this, I was born a Catholic and raised a Catholic, went to Catholic schools, became a nurse, and I've had my moments in and out of, religion. Sometimes I was very attached to it, other times not. Like many people, I got more serious about it when I had my children. And also in midlife, which is a time many people are God is reaching out to you. The younger people in life find their own way. And how I would direct a young person, and a couple of them came when we first started in February, is far different than how you do someone in the second half of life. Because young people in the first half of their life, God is really asking them to find an ego and who they are. When you get in the second half of life, God's asking you to give it away, okay, to lose that ego that you have. So And all of this is very, it's very interesting because you may see, this midlife thing I might start in people's 40s or 50s. With some people it's earlier. And it's either that turn back to God or it's a crisis. Somebody goes out and buys a Corvette or has an affair, and and all trying to hold on to the younger part of life. But there's a saying that sooner or later God gets all of us. He either gets us, we come quietly and nicely, or he gets us kicking and screaming. But one way or the other, he'll get you. In my life, I had some problems in my 40s. My father became a quadriplegic and was paralyzed. And I had a 3-year-old son at that time who showed learning disabilities. And I was really at the end of my rope. And I couldn't believe in anything. I had 2 children to raise. My father wanted to come and live with me, and he was totally paralyzed, and I didn't know what to do. And first, I sought professional help, and then I worked. And then the sister who directed me to a therapist was the therapist was very interested in astral formation, and she got me on that track. And if I would have told you 20 years ago, I thought I'd be sitting here talking to you like this now, I would never believe it. But it was through suffering and a very difficult time, God got a hold of me. And I've been given so much by other people that I want to give it back to anybody who would feel the need to it. I had told Kathy, working in Molloy, that I'd be willing to meet with people, and I'm not looking to charge any fee or become a millionaire on this kind of thing. This is not a thing that you would do. I would see Molloy people as just part of giving back to what I've been given. And if anybody wants spiritual direction, you don't have to come to me, but I have a number of people I know I work with. I could refer you to them depending on where you live or what your issue that you want to talk with more. So right now I work with a group called Innisfada Spiritual Ministry, where some spiritual directors who worked at St. Ignatius Retreat House before it was closed. And we're still doing some Jesuit work here on Long Island through St. Anthony's Parish in Oceanside. We work out of there. Margie can tell you we've been doing Zoom meetings on Fridays with the group. And I also, go down to Morristown and do weeks of directed retreats down there. It's been a very rewarding life. I think I jumped back on, the nursing helped me to jump forward on it because it was a natural lead into it. As one of the trainers I had said to me when I went, and he said, as a nurse, you've been doing this your whole life. You probably just never knew you were doing this. And it is a lot. It's listening. It's wholly listening. And most of us are capable of doing that. So I hope I haven't talked too long, Catherine, but that's, what I had to say. And if there are any questions, you can ask me, or Kathy has my email or phone numbers if you want to call.
So you can unmute yourself if you want to. If you had a question for Irene, you could also put it in the Zoom chat if you did. Again, Irene does work with our nursing department and our students. So she has been part of the Molloy community, but I appreciate, Irene, you sharing that expertise, or that what spiritual direction is, because I do think a lot of people have questions about it. And sometimes it's just in the interim, people just need a place to guide them and then know what their next steps might be.
Right. It's always, remember, it's not just about you and God, even though spiritual direction talks about your relationship with God. It always involves the community. Okay, when people say, how do I know I'm living a good life or my prayer life is working? Well, you'll see it in the way you're able to tolerate people, have patience, have more peace in your life. It may be as simple a thing as being able to hold your tongue when someone cuts you off driving the car. I mean, that's the gifts that will come from having the reflective life. So thank you all very, very much.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
I'd say I've known Irene for quite a few years through community. And, you know, I always admired her and watched how she was with the students. And then there was some sharing. I don't know how it happened that, you know, of our spirituality. But also Irene was kind of walked me through, because I had to have knee surgery. So she was my role model in that the year before I had mine. So very strong woman, very strong, kind woman, and wise.
Thank you, Marge.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Marge. So I have Carrie had to go see a student. She did say, thank you so much. This was very interesting. I appreciate your kindness. I have a student meeting and I have to leave. And then
Okay.
Dr. Schiering has added, said, why such emphasis on surrendering when others tell you what's best for you and you think otherwise? Who knows one better than oneself and the Lord? Thank you, Marjorie. And Marjorie is an ordained minister. So I don't know if your paths have crossed, you know, faculty wise, but Marjorie is in our School of Education and has been with us for a number of years. So thank you, Marjorie. But believe it or not, it is 10:55. The time goes fast in the morning. I thank you all for joining us. Irene, I thank you again for sharing
Okay.
the idea of spiritual direction. I do encourage anybody who thinks that they're interested to reach out to Irene. I am happy to forward her email to you should you want to. But
I think the session should be longer.
the sessions need to be longer.
Yes.
Sorry, Marjorie.
It's the bottom line. Come on.
The idea is it's a coffee break. It's 15 minutes. We can have a cup
Let's
of
have
coffee
a couple
together.
of cups of coffee. Just one.
We have our Zoom sessions from us. If anybody wants to join our Zoom sessions that we do from St. Anthony's in Oceanside, I can send you the links for that.
All right,
that's-
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's in the next couple of Fridays, okay?
Okay,
So-
good.
I'm going to take the longer sessions under advisement. Maybe we do have more time, but
Thank you.
tomorrow we're going to have a fun session because Molly Ballerstein is going to talk about working from home with all her family.
Oh,
Everybody join us tomorrow at 10:40 and or come at or do what Carl and I did today. Come at 10:30 and we can chat a little bit beforehand. So I'll see you all tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye now.
thanks,
Bye
Irene.
guys. Take care. Bye-bye.